Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the board meeting for the Mount Vernon City School District. This is a work session. Today's date is March 10th, 2026. Let's please stand for the pledge. May we have roll call, please, just to acknowledge that our Vice President, Trustee Mitchell, is out ill today, so we just want to keep him in prayer. Thank you.
Trustee Brown. Present. Trustee Kelly. Here. Trustee McDonough. Present. Trustee Middleton. Present. Trustee Peterson. Present. Trustee Scott. Present. Trustee White. VP Mitchell. And President Maribel.
Present.
Okay, we have our quorum and student trustee Odoro. Okay.
At this time, I'd like to call for our cash flow report for February 2026, led by our District Treasurer, Mr. Joe Lynn. Item number Resolution 2.1.
Good evening, trustees,
Good evening.
students, staff. So this should be a pretty quick report. If we could focus in on January. So in terms of receipts, in January, we had largely driven by property taxes. That's usually the collection period. This is the due date, the second collection. So you had 46 million there. Then you have also the STAR reimbursement that came through, which is the other big chunk of revenue. And then we also had state aid that came through in January. So that drove up to have a 59.68 million revenue. On the disbursement side, not a lot of significant changes except for the library taxes. Warrants declined a little bit, but the taxes was a big one. Library taxes was a big one where we sent disbursement out. So our net for January was 49.75 million. From a cash flow projection standpoint, we're looking in pretty good shape. If you could actually go to the very end. Scroll to the right. So we're looking to end the year with $14.86 million in net cash. So right now, as is, everything looks to be pretty good.
Can we just enlarge that a little so that it can be seen clearly? Thank you.
Okay. With that being said, we're continuing to work on, as going through the details of our appropriations. Next board meeting, I'll be presenting a little bit more for the February, including a initial appropriations report. And as we go through process improvements and continuing to improve things, we're hoping that these numbers will continue to get greater accuracy in terms of the projections.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our treasurer regarding the cash flow report? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so very much, Mr. Lynn. We'll now hear from our superintendent, Dr. Demario Strickland, on District Goals Update 2.2.
Good evening, President Maribel, trustees, students, staff, and members of the Mount Vernon community. This is my update on the district goals as it pertains to the superintendent's evaluation. Next slide. This slide presents our 4 district-wide goals for the 25-26 school year. These goals were established as part of my superintendent evaluation framework and reflect our highest priorities for student achievement. Each goal represents a meaningful, measurable improvement over our June 2025 baseline. Goal number 1 focuses on grade 3 ELA proficiency, which is our foundational literacy benchmark. Goal 2 addresses grade 5 mathematics, where we know early numeracy skills predict long-term academic success. Goal number 3 tracks ninth grade credit accumulation, which research consistently identifies as the strongest predictor of graduation. Finally, goal number 4 is our 4-year cohort graduation rate, the ultimate measure of our students completing their K through 12 journey. I will speak to each of these goals individually in the slides that follow. Next slide. Here's what we are committed to ensuring that every student in Mount Vernon experiences high quality learning, equity, and success in every classroom, every day. This is our gyms of instruction. Is in the majority of our classrooms, every teacher has one. It has both student actions and teacher actions, and we continue to measure what is happening in the classroom based on these gyms. Next slide. So goal number 1 centers on grade 3 ELA. Our baseline is 48% of third grade students scoring proficient or above on the New York State ELA assessment in June 2025. Our target is to reach 53% by June 2026, a 5-point percentage increase. Third grade literacy is not simply an academic milestone, it's a gateway. Research shows that students who are not reading proficiently by the end of third grade are 4 times likely to drop out of school. Our work in this area includes strong Tier 1 instruction, targeted small group interventions, and intentional use of data to identify students who need support early before gaps become entrenched. And as you could see, and I apologize, I know it's a little small. Yeah. We are moving towards meeting that goal. Now, we are not expected to be there as you would think, because our students are acquiring the standards as the year goes along. Now, I do want to take you to the third column, the New York State Measures of Interim Progress. That is this orange column. That is actually going to be something that we are going to look at as a cabinet and as a leadership team in general, because those are the marks that schools must meet in order to not be identified. We need to ensure that students are at least achieving a 2 or more on their New York State assessments. If every student alone achieves a 2, we would continue to be in good standing. Next slide. Goal 2 focuses on grade 5 mathematics. Our baseline is 39% of 5th grade students scoring proficiency or above on the New York State mathematics assessment. We are targeting 44% by June 2026. Mathematics proficiency in the upper elementary grades is a critical lever for secondary success, particularly for students who aspire to careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Our curriculum teams are working closely with building leaders to ensure that instructional strategies are aligned, that teachers have the professional development they need, and that we are using data from assessments to make timely adjustments. Again, this is the same situation. This is the iReady benchmark. We see that there's a number of schools that are reaching or developing. We want to get them into the effective and highly effective columns. And not this one. Yeah. We want to make sure that they continue to push and get towards highly effective. And once again, we have the MIPS, the measures of interim progress, that we must meet. As you can see, 3 of our schools are making great progress, and our other schools have some work that needs to continuously be done. Again, I'm not fretting because it's not the end of the year. Like, we want to make sure that we teach the standards that are needed for students to be successful. Next slide. Goal number 3 measures ninth grade credit accumulation. We are tracking the percentage of ninth grade students who earn 5 or more credits by the end of the school year, which is the threshold research identifies as strongly predictive of 4-year graduation. Our baseline is 75.8 from June 2025, and we are targeting 80.8% by June 2026. When students enter high school with a strong support structure, clear expectations, and early intervention, when they begin to fall behind, the data shows they are far more likely to stay on track and graduate on time. So we see that Denzel's Washington School of the Arts currently is at 92.6% on track, which is great. You know, they do have an advantage considering they had a 6th grade cohort that they've been working with and able to push along. Same thing with STEAM. Many of the students that attend STEAM are those students that come from honors classes that have credit in algebra, biology, and a language. And we see Mount Vernon High School is 55.9%. Although it's below the threshold, I am quite confident that the individuals at that school are working to ensure students in ninth grade get the support that they need to get 5 or more credits. Next slide. Goal number 4 is 4-year cohort graduation rate. Our baseline from August 2025 is 79%, and we are targeting 84% by August 2026. I want to acknowledge both the progress that has been made and the distance that remains. An 84% graduation rate means that for every 100 students who entered ninth grade with a cohort, 84 will earn a diploma in 4 years. Our job is to make sure that number hires every single year, and strategies you will see on the following slides are designed to do exactly that. No child in Mount Vernon should fall through the cracks, and our system exists to ensure that it doesn't happen. And as you can look at the chart, these are measures that I just have always used. We are looking at the current senior class, meaning cohort 2022, looking at the number of students that have 16 or more credits, because that means they are on track to be a senior. Looking at the students that has at least 3 Regents exams. If they have 3 Regents exams, they generally are only 1 away from being able to graduate. And that's how we sort of are projecting out. As you see, Denzel Washington School of the Arts has an effective rating as of now, and our STEAM Academy has a highly effective rating, but overall developing rating. Next slide. This slide outlines the interventions we have put in place to support students across all 4 goal areas. Tier 1 instruction is the foundation. If our core classroom instruction is not high quality and rigorous, every other intervention and work is working against the grain. I want to be honest with this board and community. We have identified gaps in our curriculum that are affecting the consistency of first instruction across our schools. Dr. Doggett and I are actively addressing the gaps, and that work is priority for the remainder of this school year into 26-27. For students who need more now, we have supports in place: online credit recovery, marking period recovery, extended learning time programs, and Saturday and evening programs. Our early warning system and multi-tiered systems of support allow us to identify students who are beginning to struggle and respond before a small gap becomes a large one. These are not programs operating in isolation. They are part of a coordinated school-by-school strategy, even as we continue to strengthen the instructional core that makes all of them more effective. Next slide. And Finally, this slide reflects the direct school-level work underway to move our students towards these goals. I want to be clear, this is not the work of one department or one leader. My entire executive cabinet and cabinet are engaged in this effort, whether it's curriculum and instruction, student personnel services, business and operations, legal and compliance. Every member of the leadership team understands that student achievement is a shared responsibility and that their role connects to what happens for children in classrooms. Data reviewed meetings with building leaders and principals are not a formality. They are structured conversations about what is working, what is not, what needs to change. Professional learning communities, curriculum meetings, and instructional coaching are part of how we support teachers and keep our strategies coherent across the district. The ongoing data and action planning cycle for leaders mean that no principal is operating in isolation. We are a system, and every part of that system is pointed in the same direction. And finally, thank you for your time and attention this evening. The work reflected in this presentation is being carried out every day by our teachers, school leaders, support staff across all 13 schools in Mount Vernon, and I want to thank them all, and I welcome your questions.
Do we have any questions of Dr. Strickland on the district goals? Dr. McDonough?
Thank you, President Maribel. Thank you for the presentation. Just a couple questions. One, what is the definition of the MIPS? I don't understand what this
Yeah,
is.
okay, so generally we were looking at proficiency as the end-all be-all. I'm looking for students that get a 3 or 4 on the New York State assessments. Those are students at or above grade level. Now, what the state is actually looking at, they're looking at for students to make growth, they're looking at students that are actually at the level 2 range, and each student that scores a level 2 earns a certain point, and they add those points with the grade, people that earn 3s, and add another for 4s, and all those together have to be equal or better than the number that's shown on that slide.
I see. So for effective, what is the threshold? Is it 130?
So,
Or I'm just went back to the what is it, the math one?
sure.
So 113 is
So
130.
right now we are seeing 113.1, which shows that we're developing. So the individuals that are in the 130s, that's probably the actual target. I can get you the actual target.
Yeah, no, it's okay. That's all right. I just wanted to get a sense of the framework. And then just one other thing. You had said that you were talking about the state and how if every student in the district got a 2, we would be considered by the state a school in good standing.
Or LSI.
Is that a statewide standard, or is that just relative to Mount Vernon's progress?
So I believe it is actually a statewide standard. If every student gets some points on those exams, they will actually show some progress and actually meet MIPS.
Wow, that just strikes me as odd because with ELA a 2 is not proficient. So it seems odd that the state would consider that a standard that keeps you in good standing. I find that alarming.
This is actually a slight change that a lot of education policy and superintendents across the state were actually pushing for, because we have so many students that were identified as level 1s, and our goal is to see substantial progress, not just see a student that goes from a 1 through a 3. I'm starting to get some flags go up. They're going up in my head. What's going on in that class? You know, it's great, but you rather see increment growth because that student is going to at least be sustained.
Yeah,
have
no,
sustainability.
I understand what those things mean. It worries me though that it just, for the state to say that you're in good standing, it seems like it's a way to maybe avoid having to ratchet up more funding right? That's for me. If two means something more significant, then that would have to compel the state to fund more. By saying two is okay, that's my worry. And it's two is not proficient. If you go through your life at a two, you're never going to be a proficient reader.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess I get what you're saying. I don't think I'm being as clear. Two is just the threshold to get points. And then what happens is, and please, Dr. Wilkins, if you will, we do have students that get threes and fours, and those actually help elevate students that get ones and the twos. You know, it's an
calculation.
overall goal, overall calculation.
Right.
And also, I think that they have also taken into consideration the COVID factor because there was a lot of missed instruction. So I think that they're trying to compensate for some of that. But again,
Yeah, it's a cold world,
it is.
you know. I mean,
I agree. Still need to know how to read.
you gotta read, you know.
But that's not, it's a little different than that.
Okay.
Do you want me to address it, or?
Oh, can you please, Dr.
I'll
Wilkins?
I'll do a little bit of addressing. What happens is that you have your threes and fours, and they stay that way. Those are the children that are basically on grade level of not above. You look at your ones and twos. If you eliminate the ones and you have all those hop up to twos, that's you get points for that, and it shows growth in literacy or numeracy standards, and you're not getting identified. So he's like getting to the shortcut of it, but you're right. Two is not where we want them to be. We want them to be at proficiency, but back a couple of years ago, you get a level one, you get nothing for that child. So the child went from a low one to a high one. So you see the growth, but it doesn't really mean anything. But when you see that child go from a middle one to a two, you're going to get some points for that, but it's also showing movement. It's not good enough, but if you're looking purely from the point system of what you're going to get, all twos will leave you in better standing from the state measurements, which comes again from the feds. So that's what that's about. So again, literacy is the three. We want them at grade level, but you're playing with numbers right now, so that's what that's about. Hope
So
that makes
basically, we're
sense.
just getting credit.
Pardon me?
We're getting credit for the growth.
So
Is
let's
that what
just be
they're?
honest, it's about the numbers.
About getting
Yeah,
credit.
Yeah, but it's about literacy. Yeah.
Any other questions? Trustee Adoro?
Hello. Honestly, this presentation was honestly good, in my opinion, especially with the intervention to support students, especially with parents that are, overworking and doing other things to even focus on their students. But these are some questions how I would personally ask, like how would this be implemented, and how would parents and communities alike would be able to know this is going on for their kids? And lastly, who is going to be responsible for that? Because as we all know it, Marvin is kind of friend tied with staffs and a lot of things. So yeah, thank you.
No, thank you for your kudos. I would say one of the reasons why I actually am doing this presentation in public is to alert our families and students to as to what actually happens in our schools, because too often we're such in silos, and people may assume that things are not happening or they are happening. And I want to highlight that things are happening to really try to move the nozzle and get our students past the finish line, which is that graduation. So in a lot of respects, everything might not be happening in every school because every school needs something different, but something is generally tailored to most schools, and I collected all of it. Good question.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to know if we have any board committee reports. Anyone that would like to report out? Trustee Scott, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Thank you.
That's technology,
For the
correct?
Technology Committee, yes. We had a nice discussion on Wednesday, December, oh my goodness, March 4th. I guess I'm preparing for Christmas, huh? March 4th, where we talked about what's happening district-wide, and I'm just going to share a summary of what that is. And for those that were in attendance at the meeting, please chime in if I forget anything. So basically, we talked about device readiness, and at this current state, 93% of the students have a district-owned device assigned. The remaining 7% of students may need to receive a new device, and because of aging computers, and that's being worked on. We know that 500 new devices are being distributed to grade 5 district-wide. And there are some weekly readiness reports that go out to the superintendent and to our state monitor, which I also receive, and we share to see what's happening across the district in regards to those devices and things of that nature. We are looking at planning for device maintenance, which is well needed in the district. So I know that the director and others are working very hard to identify what best plan we can have for those devices going forward. And those devices will be in order to repair, repurpose, monitor, dispose. So it has all of those things embedded in it. We're also looking at the district's instructional technology plan, which is due April 15th, and I know sections of that are being worked on now and then be reviewed. The full report is due June 30th, so we only have 3 months left, but I think we are working in a way where things will be reviewed and submitted in a timely manner. So we are on pace for that. And we're also looking at a student access home use policy, which will, allow for those take-home rules, procedures for lost devices, damaged devices, charger management, and single sign-on capability. So there's a lot that's being done right now by the technology division, along with other folks. So we're in a positive place. So I hope to continue to report out on the success as we progress. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Scott, for that. Do we have any questions on the Technology Committee report? Okay. Okay. Dr. Strickland would like to make a comment.
I do want to assure you all trustees and the community that we are already starting to look at next school year, 2026-27, having a plan in place so that we are not where we were last year. That it's unacceptable, will not tolerate, and we'll be all right.
Thank you. Trustee Peterson?
Good evening, everyone. So last Tuesday, March 3rd, Miss White and Sarita and Hillary, we had an amazing family and community engagement meeting. I have been a parent in this district for the last 18 years. Oh, Lord. And this year was the first year I can ever recall us getting summer school information in March. Like, we were like, I was like, oh my, what is this for June? I'm like, for this year, they presented the programs that are going to be going on this summer. We discussed feedback about the after-school program, which, yet again, my daughter loves this after-school program. I don't know what they're doing, but she loves it. And we discussed the methods on how to increase family engagement across the schools at all different, school age levels, from elementary to middle school to high school. It was a very engaging meeting. We had the after party afterwards. We were still on there talking and just throwing ideas and just getting, it was just a great meeting. Our next meeting is Thursday, April 9th at, double check this way, 6:30 p.m., Thursday, April 9th. And everyone, don't forget that Friday, April 17th will be our Edith Kaplan Scholarship Dinner Dance held at, what is the place? Green Tree Country Club. So that information, it should be already on the district website. So we encourage everyone to come on out for that as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any, Trustee Adoro, you have a report?
No, I was going to ask a question to Mrs. Scott.
Sure.
So last time when I came to America 4 years ago, which you already know, and I remember last time they used to take the laptops during the summer. Am I right? Is that going to be implemented? I mean, it would make sense why it would be implemented for the sakes of the safety of the laptops and us students not damaging, especially from lower grades.
Well,
Do
I
you,
was gonna say,
Trustee
we
Scott,
didn't,
do we want Dr. Strickland to answer, or do you have a response for that?
sorry, we didn't make that decision yet, but you'd be surprised with the comment about our littles. It's not the littles. It's the older ones that are losing their items. We don't have the iPad shortage. It's the computer shortage. So we have not made that decision, but when we make that decision, we will be sure to communicate it holistically.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sure,
And
Trustee
I'm sure
Scott.
that that will come tied with the maintenance plan on how to manage the flow of people having it and who has it.
Is your
when
mic on?
and things like- It's not
Make
on?
sure-
Hello? Can you hear me now? Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
But what I was saying was basically the maintenance plan would be great in terms of us being able to manage something like that when the decision is made, so that we can know where these where the equipment is, who has it, where it's being used, things of that nature. So I'm sure that's to come.
Trustee Scott, can I just for clarification, because it's my understanding that there are trackers on the computers, or they're not, or they don't exist? I thought there were trackers on them. Okay, not, okay, great, okay, thank you. Older models, okay. Oh, great, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Trustee Adora, do you have a report? Would you like to report out now?
I mean, the report normally for the school district, not school district, but STEAM Academy is normally on the newspaper, which is now going to be located at the Mount Vernon Mount Vernon website. Has everything on it. But for the community, Dr. Pierce is finally back in STEAM Academy, if you guys must know. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any old business that we need to bring forward? Okay, let's move on to section 4, human resources. Are there any items 4.1 through 4.7 that you would like to discuss? If so, please identify that resolution. I'll give you a moment. Okay. We ready to move forward? Okay. Moving on to section 5, curriculum and instruction. Is there anything in section 5, 5.1 through 5.7 that you would like to have discussion on? Dr. Strickland? Dr. Strickland, did you need to add anything to any of the resolutions? Did you need to explain anything here?
Just 5.6, there's a change in price due to a change in entry fee. So there was an increase, so we had to amend.
Okay. Hearing none. We'll move on to section 6, student personnel services. Are there any questions on 6.1 or 6.2? Okay, No questions? We'll move on to section 7. I believe we do have a guest here for part of our, that is was here to answer any questions that we may have for item 7.3, but is there anything else that you'd like to address in section 7, 7.1 through 7.6, excluding 7.3? Is there anything in section 7, 7.1 through 7.6 that you would like to discuss? We're going to isolate 7.3 since we have a guest here that's going to be able to answer any questions you may have for 7.3. Hearing none, we will look at 7.3. Are there any questions on 7.3? Authorization to opt-in agreement to participate in the City of Mount Vernon School Bus Stop Arm Enforcement Program with Bus Patrol. Trustee Peterson?
Hi, good evening. In looking over the contract, my main two questions were what type of revenue would the school district receive from this? Because I didn't find any within the contract that stated us receiving any type of revenue from this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let,
that's it.
let me just introduce our guest.
Oh, thank you very much.
Dr. Strickland, if you could just introduce our guest. Mr. Ryan Monell.
That's
Right?
correct.
He was here on January 29th, I believe, and did a presentation on bus patrol. And so he did answer a few questions to the trustees. Trustee McDonough and Trustee Brown raised a couple of questions that night, and you did answer them in real time. So, so Trustee Peterson is asking a follow-up question to that session.
Well, thank you, President Marable. Trustee Peterson, thank you for your question. Dr. Strickland, thank you for your time this evening as well as the rest of the trustee board. Really appreciate the opportunity to come back and answer questions. We look forward to the potential partnership with the school district and the community. To answer your question, really it sort of comes down to the state statute. So we actually, as a vendor, we work with communities across the state of New York, including Westchester County, Eastchester, the town of Eastchester just north of here, and many others across the state, under state statute 1174A. And so what state statute 1174A allows for is a local community, and the local community is defined as either a county, a city like Mount Vernon, a town or a village, to enter into an agreement with a vendor like Bus Patrol to effectuate an enforcement program that allows for the installation of school bus safety cameras on the cameras that would capture a violation if someone were to pass that vehicle if the bus is stopped and letting kids off around the bus. The way that we would ultimately operate is, number one, we install the cameras on the buses, but then effectuate sending evidence to the local law enforcement. In this case, it would be either the Mount Vernon Police Department or it could be the city's Public Safety Department, to basically review that evidence and make a determination on if a ticket should be issued to those who pass the school bus illegally. Now, the way that the law works is effectively the agreement is with the city. So we would enter into an agreement with the city in which this process would be facilitated. However, considering that the contract with the school buses is with the school district, there is an intergovernmental agreement that is necessary that creates a partnership with the city, the school district, and Bus Patrol to effectuate the program. The way that revenue typically works is that the law, number one, establishes a ticket amount of $250, pretty egregious offense, passing a school bus when a child is getting off or on, so the severity of the penalty accounts for that, but it's set at the state as $250. And ultimately, that revenue goes back to the city. And so typically what we see is we enter into an agreement, we typically facilitate paying for the equipment that goes on the school buses, and then ultimately, of course, effectuating everything that is required to operate the program, and then we are reimbursed through the funds that are captured through violations from the city. However, revenue is typically left over as well. Not everything goes towards paying for the program. And in that case, it's the city who makes the determination on how that revenue is ultimately allocated. Now, in certain jurisdictions across the state, we also operate across the country. That revenue, in many instances, is shared between the city and the school district. And so in this instance, it would be ultimately a decision that would need to be made and negotiated between the city and the school district as it relates to how that violation revenue is ultimately allocated alongside what is necessary to pay for the program.
So,
Hold on. Let me see. Does anyone else have a?
I'm still continuing my question,
Okay, each person gets a question, then I'll come back to you.
but I still have, this is still part of my initial question
Okay,
for him.
but you get one question, and then another trustee gets a question, and I can come back to you, and you can ask another question. Okay? That's how Robert's Rules of Order works.
Not while I'm
Trustee
wording my question, but okay.
McDonough?
Hi, this opt-in agreement, it says the city has entered into an agreement with Bus Patrol. I'm guessing it hasn't happened
It
yet.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually kind of going, the city was really interested in hearing ultimately what all of you thought about the program. And so it's a little bit in reverse. Ultimately, they wanted to see if the school board and the school district thought this was something that you wanted to pursue and go forward on. The next step would be, hopefully with Dr. Strickland speaking to the city. The process with the city is ultimately not only entering into a contract, but the law also calls for a local law to be effectuated and enacted. And so if the local law is enacted, we can enter into a master services agreement with the city to basically facilitate what I outlined as it relates to the scope of what this program is. And then, of course, to gain access to the school buses that the district is contracted to oversee, we would enter into an opt-in agreement. So the opt-in agreement would ultimately need to reflect the local law for the city of Mount Vernon, as well as the master services agreement.
Do we have any other questions from trustee?
I have a question.
Okay,
Since there's school buses,
Kelly.
why are we making a contract with the city?
Well, so on account of what the law calls for, right? Really what it is an intergovernmental agreement. So basically, since we would be effectuating the program on behalf of the city to facilitate enforcement, however, of course, considering the school district controls the bus fleet, this is really seen as an intergovernmental agreement contract to allow for that asset, the school bus, to be outfitted with the stop arm cameras to facilitate enforcement.
hold on. Okay, trustee Brown?
Good evening. Thank you for
Good evening.
for coming in to answer our questions. Like the last time I asked, we wanted to know what was the monetary hit to the district, and I understand it's none.
Yep.
And so I know you keep talking about the intergovernmental agreement, basically an MOU,
It's right.
and that's what we're going to be entering. And again, just want to clarify that the district is not spending any money. You just need us to approve this so that so that the camera arms can be installed on the buses, and that if we decide as a group in our own conversations about any revenue, that's an additional conversation that we would have with the city.
That's correct. Yeah, so just to go a step further, Trustee Brown, and I really appreciate your question, the law actually requires this program to be revenue neutral for the school districts. And so by statute, the program cannot cost the district $1. And so ultimately, we facilitate the program, of course, to abide by that statutory requirement. But the other aspect is we also want to facilitate the program to not cost the city $1. And so what we typically do is, as a vendor, we will facilitate the debt servicing to install the equipment on every school bus. It's about $10,000 a bus. And our agreement is effectively a violator-funded agreement. So it won't cost the taxpayer $1 for either the city or the school district unless you pass a bus, in which case that violation will be captured, and ultimately that revenue not only will go towards paying for the program and for us to recoup our costs and investment we made for the safety equipment, but ultimately, hopefully, will create additional revenue for the city, and hopefully, if there's an agreement with the school district, to go to the school district to help you account for and pay for other priorities that you have.
Trustee Middleton, do you have? Okay, I didn't want to miss. Trustee Scott?
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see your presentation the last time, but I got to scan through the PowerPoint. My question is around the violations, especially when the county, the residents get these violations. There's probably going to be a lot of calls coming to this building about those violations versus going to the city. So my question to you is, you said in your a little while ago you're gonna send any, I guess, evidence or whatever to the city for any violations or tickets that may be given out. How can you reassure me that, one, we won't be bothered by people calling to find out how they can fight these tickets, how, where they can get video of this infraction and all of these other things? And since we're not the owners of this, I'm guessing that we won't have access to whatever you will be sending to the city in regards to a violation. Is that correct, first?
That's right,
How
yeah.
do we manage that when those calls come in?
No, that's a great question. A few things I'll mention on that front. Number one, you're correct. So if a violation is captured off of the bus, that is data that we want to make sure is secure. And so ultimately what happens is the violation is captured off the bus. It goes through a back-end processing system in which that evidence that we see from a vehicle passing the bus is paired with DMV information on the registry of the vehicle, as well as additional information on when the violation occurred and where. That's then sent through a secure portal where a public safety professional with the City of Mount Vernon will receive a credential, and they'll ultimately be reviewing that evidence for every violation. And only if the City of Mount Vernon public safety professionals review that and approve it to be issued as a ticket, will it be issued as a ticket. So the idea, number one, is it's always going to be a community-driven enforcement program. The second aspect that's incredibly important, though, is that if you receive a ticket in the mail, part of the process for transparency and accountability is that you have a link on the ticket that you receive to a website. And on that website, you can plug in your license plate for the vehicle that committed the violation or is being accused of committing the violation, as well as the ticket number. And you yourself can also view the same exact evidence that was utilized by the City of Mount Vernon to issue the ticket. So that occurs, and it will be available for anyone who receives a ticket. The second thing I would say is on account of, we don't want you to be fielding a bunch of phone calls. Now, obviously, we can't guarantee that you won't, but we do on the ticket provide a call center number that is staffed with professionals who understand the law and the program and how the local program is working in particular. And so you're not going to be having to field those calls because we're providing a direct number on the ticket for the appropriate number for folks to call. The last thing I would say is that for every program that we facilitate, including Westchester County, we're talking to New Rochelle, Eastchester, Tuckahoe, we facilitate a public safety announcement and a campaign to basically tell folks, number one, this program exists. We do that in multiple languages and however the community wants to see that done. And ultimately tell folks how not to get a ticket, because at the end of the day, that's the whole goal. We want to make sure we're decreasing violations, and we want to make sure that's done very effectively. And so we try to pair everything as it relates to enforcement with education, so folks in the community know, and it's coming from the community resources, and we're reaching people where they are, that ultimately, this is how you don't get a ticket and how this program works.
I'm going to circle back, Trustee Peterson.
So back to my initial conversation with you. Your company has very poor Google reviews. A lot of the complaints were from residents who received these fines, and they weren't necessarily the car involved in the actual passing of the bus. So what I don't want this is to be another burden on our residents in Mount Vernon who were driving across the street, but they got a ticket as well, because that's what a lot of the complaints about your company I've read online and on social media, they were complaining about. Was a study even done to see if a service like this is needed for Mount Vernon? Because I don't recall seeing any type of traffic study presented to us about.
So,
Is that for Dr. Strickland? Dr. Strickland?
so first, this whole situation came up in a conversation with the mayor, okay? It was initiated with Mayor Patterson Howard. I live in Mount Vernon, and I'm sorry to say some signs are optional, stop lights are optional, and when we're talking about students and student safety, then we got to do whatever we can do to make sure we protect that. So something else that got me on the phone with him to present was the student that was hit by a car outside of one of our schools. That was enough for me to say we need to actually go ahead and get this started. I understand what you're talking about in terms of Google reviews, but I just think then those individuals would call and hopefully they would that would get knocked out. I also wanted to make you all aware that I talked with the mayor and I said, I'm not going for this if you getting all the money. So we're going to come up with a split, or how does that look? And not only did she say, yeah, we would talk about that, but she would also think about how we can continue to make our streets safe. Like that funding amount would help our areas around our schools, areas to enhance safety. So I can't assert the other items that you mentioned, but I do, no actual traffic study that I'm aware of. But I do know that the city actually took that portion on first. And then because of prior experience with bus patrol, went on ahead.
Yeah, so there have been studies done. I mean, for Mount Vernon specifically, no. I'm not aware of a study specific for your community. However, there was a recent survey done by the National Association of Pupil Transportation, where 39 million illegal passes were tallied for the last school year. Now, that is actually going down. The year prior, it was closer to 50 million. And one of the things that we see is sort of one of the drivers in terms of why it's going in the right direction is because of the utilization of automated enforcement at a greater scale over the course of the last 2 years. And so we're hopeful that continues to be the trend. But when you look at the rest of Westchester County, when you look at Long Island, Rockland County, Putnam County, Ulster County, Dutchess County, Yonkers, New Rochelle, all the communities are facilitating this because they see the need. And we believe that the need is here in Mount Vernon as well. But to answer your question specifically, there hasn't been a study.
Yeah. Trustee Brown? I'm sorry, and then
So I will share with the public that I, as a child, was hit by a car, and I was in a full body cast for 6 months at the age of 5. And so this is very dear to me, and it's something that is hitting home, and I see the need for it. And so I'm very transparent. It's my story. It's who I am. And I'm here today walking and thriving, and, by God's grace, I'm here. With you talking about your company is going to staff this is staffed by you with professionals. And since we're here at this juncture where we have to create this MOU, I work for the city of New York, and we do the red light cameras. And we've had to employ additional employees to monitor this. And since we have this opportunity, and since we're working in conjunction with the city of Mount Vernon, and since you employ staff, would it be something that you can look into possibly having as part of the contract, that there would be Mount Vernon residents that can work on this?
We're more than happy to
help to bring a potential job and revenue to the Mount Vernon residents. And since we have this opportunity now, while we're writing it, like we have that power to be the author, and we should be able to hire Mount Vernon residents. I know that I'm currently building new buildings throughout the 5 boroughs to house staff to monitor this, because like Trustee Peterson says, You get so many people who's going to call. This calling center is going to happen. People are going to call. They're going to want to fight and dismiss charges. And trust you, the New York City is making $1 million a day on red light tickets. So I can only imagine, we may not make that. I'm not saying we're going to do that. But we should be the author, and we should be able to have Mount Vernon residents also be taught and be professionals, as you said, who's going to know the law, and that's going to be able to help with this. And also that will help with that community engagement part, because now they have a stake in it. Now they know what it is, because right now it's conjecture. Right now it's a lot of words. And, you know, people don't want to get tickets. I myself have gotten a red light camera ticket. I don't run past buses because I was part of that. But it should definitely be something that we are now able to be the author of that. And if we can work that into it, however many people you have, you do the numbers. You know how many people you're going to need to staff that, and a percentage of that should be a Mount Vernon resident. If it's going to be within us, it needs to be us too.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate that, Trustee Brown, and thanks for sharing your personal story. Wholeheartedly agree. Just to kind of give an idea of some of the folks that would work on a program like this, it's everything from installers on the bus equipment, folks who can maintain that equipment. We service and need technicians to help review and make sure we're sending through the appropriate evidence to the city. We need folks who can help support community engagement on the ground, so folks that are educated on how not to get a ticket. So certainly are more than happy to talk about that, make that part of the conversation in the contract, and we appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay. Trustee McDonough?
Hi, thanks. This is a question maybe for the superintendent and our legal counsel. We contract out for our busing services, so this would impact those vendors. Could this possibly open the contract up again? And if it can, to what extent can we require a private contractor to do this? If they want the business, if they say they don't want to put the cameras on, they don't want the business, then all of a sudden we have to renegotiate with another vendor to do this, which could increase the cost of our busing a lot. We know that once you go back out to bid, then you have to, take market rate. So I think we should be mindful of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was going to ask our legal counsel if he wanted to respond to our trustee, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so thank you, Trustee. So great question. Just to kind of give you a little bit of perspective on New York, we currently are on about 25,000 buses, a little bit under 25,000 buses across New York State. If you look at New York, it's very similar to what you have in Mount Vernon, to where the majority of school districts across the state that we serve don't own their own buses. And so, number one, we have a really strong relationship with the majority of the private operators in this region in particular. Your bus provider is First Student, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Do you have a few?
In Cross County.
Cross County. So,
All county, yes.
all county bus. So we already have a relationship with all county bus and First Student. Yeah. So both of those are existing relationships. They know our equipment. They know our team. And so we don't anticipate any issues with that. And then the other aspect I would say is if, the contract for your operator is up, you decide to switch operators, as part of the program, we would decommission your fleet and reinstall in your new fleet, and do that to make sure there's a continuity of service for the district.
In-house counsel, Russell, would you like to also respond to that?
Well, it's not necessarily a response to Trustee McDonough's statement and or question. It's more of a question for the four corners of the contract. I would say that there's some questions that we still need to have answered here, because one of the contingencies in the contract is that we have our third-party vendor agree to sign on to this. And I don't know if the board wants to be in a position to negotiate that with the third-party vendor, versus if you already have a relationship with our third-party vendor, that is a conversation that goes between your company and them. And then when I look further in the contract, I don't see anything that really speaks to, and I don't know the equipment, if the equipment is damaged. Is the third-party vendor responsible for it? Are we responsible for it? I do understand that there will be a call center, but people in this county, and when it comes down to public and municipalities, they know FOIA. So they're going to FOIA request us for that information, notwithstanding any link that we have. So as a thought in moving forward, maybe there needs to be a presentation that is made to the third-party vendor. So your company to get them to buy in, or if they already know you or know the company, then it's less of a pickup for us as a district, notwithstanding the split. And when it comes down to the maintenance and the damage of the equipment, some assurance that we as a district is not accountable for that. We don't have to deal with that. That is something that happens either between you and the third-party vendor, or the third-party vendor takes on the responsibility to do that. I don't know if you have the answer to the questions now, but that's some of the things that I would like to work out before the board considers it in another way.
No, really appreciate it. More than happy to work out language. It's part of the process. Absolutely don't see this as the final draft whatsoever. To answer your questions now, though, I think first, more than happy to engage with your operator directly. We're used to doing that all across the country. That's not a problem whatsoever. If you would like them to be privy to the contract, that's something some districts do, some don't. So we're more than happy to make that part of the process, and them signatory if that creates a little bit more certainty for the district. As it relates to the maintenance, the district's never going to be held liable for the equipment. And by the way, typically we're going to know before you all do if there's a problem, because we have like a 24/7 monitoring service if a bus camera is down or if a piece of equipment's been damaged, to where we can dispatch a tech, hopefully someone who is a Mount Vernon resident, to come and fix that equipment on that bus. So just to answer more succinctly, the district would never be liable for that, and we certainly would be in a position to facilitate that maintenance by working with your operator.
Okay, Trustee Scott and then Trustee Adoro. I'm just trying to go in order. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee
I had a
Kelly.
question.
You did. I apologize. You did. Trustee
I'm in
Kelly, then
agreement
Trustee
with,
Scott, and then Trustee Adoro.
Trustee Peterson, I would like to see a study. I'd like to see a return on investment. I would like to understand why we have to go through a third party in order to do this. In New York City, the city takes care of traffic enforcement. Sharing of revenue should happen anyway, but I would definitely like to understand why we don't do it on the properties where the children actually are. They have to cross streets. We have a shortage of crossing guards. Kids are more in danger from crossing the street than the bus. That's a state law, not passing. So I'm confused. Maybe I need to have more of a presentation, but I don't see the necessity, and nothing is free. So what's your cut when all this is done? Because you're providing a lot, but I don't hear about, we may not pay for it, but there is some ROI on this.
Right. Yeah, look, number one, appreciate the question. Out of transparency, we're a for-profit company. And ultimately, what we try to do is effectively make a very robust public safety program that ultimately has been demonstrated to make the streets safer for children. Now, certainly understand that you'd like to see a traffic study. We're more than happy to connect and identify ways to maybe make that happen. But ultimately, what we've found across the region, the state, the country, is that our programs work. And effectively, there's a lot of inherent benefit to keeping children safer, as well as potentially revenues generated from violators to ultimately help pay for other public safety, education, community initiatives. For us, we effectively provide a violator-funded program to where ultimately, we take on the costs on behalf of a local community. There's really no catch to that. All of our contracts basically are hold harmless contracts. If the revenue doesn't come in from violations, no one's ever going to be on the hook from the city, for example, in Mount Vernon, to pay for this program or to pay for this technology. However, obviously we are a for-profit company, and so after paying off a certain aspect of the program, there might be revenue that is generated on top of that to help us go and serve additional communities in other parts of the country. But that is a decision that the community needs to make as it relates to the public safety component of this program. but we believe very strongly that this is a true public safety benefit. And, the fact that the majority of the communities in this region, including New York City, by the way, who has an RFP to ultimately choose a vendor, including potentially Bus Patrol. For the other automated enforcement programs in New York City, it is done through a vendor that works with the automated enforcement unit at New York City DOT. But totally understand this needs to be a community-driven decision, and you have choices as it relates to who you choose to work for. We're hoping it's Bus Patrol, but that is the decision for the board and ultimately the city.
Trustee Scott and then Trustee Adoro.
Thank you. I think legal counsel asked the questions that I had, and it was around the maintenance and repairs and how that would be done, because I didn't see a section in the contract. And for me, if it's not in there, then there's no guarantees that it will. It's on. Can you hear me? I'm not gonna put it in my mouth now. So, but basically, that's something that I would want to see around that, because with this type of equipment, things always happen where they are damaged, especially in the winter months when we have these heavy snows and all of that great stuff that need to be cleaned off of the buses. So I would definitely want to see that, and before I would ask the superintendent to put his signature on that, that's something that I would definitely want to see around the maintenance and repair of anything that happens with these with the equipment.
No, we're more than happy. I mean, and thank you, Trustee, for your question. Again, Bus Patrol will always be the one responsible, liable for the equipment on the school buses, and we're pretty good at making sure that it's always operating and able to capture quality evidence for violations. But we're more than happy to give you a presentation on sort of what that process looks like, how we facilitate that. And of course, in the contract, if you would like to see additional language around what each party signatory to that contract or to that agreement is responsible for, we can certainly add that to the contract as well.
Trustee Adoro.
I do have some questions though. In general, from my understanding, is that basically this cannot be implemented without the school's approval, if I got that right?
Well, we certainly need the school's approval to enter into an agreement to install in the buses. So the school district is essential to the program as well as the contracting process.
Okay, and also from what I've basically researched and looked at, the program basically is, it basically sees a crime happening but doesn't prevent it, right?
No, so basically, what I would actually say this is akin to is if there was a police officer next to every school bus stop. And so ultimately, the camera is going to be capturing a violation. If someone passes the bus has to be completely stopped, the lights have to be blinking. If the vehicle entirely passes the bus, that violation will be captured via a camera that's installed on the bus, and that evidence will be processed through to public safety professionals at the city of Mount Vernon to make a determination on if a ticket should be issued. And so not stopping a crime in real time next to the bus, but ultimately hopefully helping to identify that an illegal pass of that bus occurred, and allowing for a ticket to be issued, and hopefully that will create a deterrent going forward. What we found in Westchester, in Rockland, is that 9 out of 10 times if someone receives a violation in the mail, they don't receive a second one. So that recidivism rate is very, very low, meaning that behavior truly changes through the program.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. Do we have any other questions?
Oh, wait,
before
it was a follow-up
Trustee
question.
Middleton, and then I'll come back to you. I'll circle back.
I just wanted to ask, so if the camera on inside the bus does capture a offense or whatever it might be, who checks at the end of the day? Because it happened to me. There was a all county, scraped my car to no end, right? And the bus driver never reported it. But they checked the bus camera, and I don't know if he realized that there was the camera on the bus, and they saw everything that did happen. So they fired him because he never reported it.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, do you actually check to see, and just in case there is no report?
Well,
given?
so it sounds like maybe the camera that was utilized in that instance with All County was the interior camera.
Yes, it
So
was.
there's two different systems on the
Okay,
bus.
so you got two
the system that we would utilize for enforcement These are cameras that are installed on the outside of the bus. Now, those cameras would only be rolling when the bus is completely stopped and the ambers are on, and that video can only be utilized to help enforce the law against an illegal pass. So, from the perspective of an interior camera, we do offer those as part of the program if the school district would need them. It doesn't sound like you do, but that is a different system. It's entirely self-contained, separate from the enforcement system, and that is controlled by the operator. So
Okay,
the
I think it
operator
was
would be.
out and in and out.
Got
But
it.
yeah,
Got it.
so
But the-
I was just wondering if
Yeah.
it would be
So-
the same.
So
If
the
not,
operator would be the one that would have access to that camera and be the one to
Thank
be
you.
able to check that for you.
Okay. Sorry, my computer's updating. I apologize. Trustee Brown, and I know trustee, then I'm going to circle back to trustee. You have another question? Trustee, okay, I know trustee Brown raised her hand, so
Take that one. Well, wait, I have one question, but I'll give you. So me and trustee Peterson had the same question, so I'm gonna let her take the latter. My question is regarding these cameras, how are they powered? Because I'm big into monitoring my carbon footprint, and so how are they powered? What is the energy consumption? What is the energy output? What is that looking
Yep.
like?
So they're very, very low power. They actually are hardwired into the bus, and so they're just running off of the battery, the typical battery that you would have on the bus. But takes very, very low power. They're really only triggered when the stop arm is deployed, the bus is stopped. That's when the cameras come on. And so ultimately, it is a very low drain on energy and power for the bus, but it uses the existing system on the bus to power the camera.
I have one, but I know I have to.
okay. So, hold on. I just want to make sure everybody gets their time in. I'm gonna let the student. May I defer to the student trustee first, trustee Peterson, and then I'll come back to you. So, trustee Adoro.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. It was actually a follow-up question for what I was asking about if the cameras actually prevents it or not in general. But this goes towards the board in general. I mean, I've lived in basically Mount Vernon for 4 years, and basically I've known how the community basically would operate and how would they react. So in general, if we were to implement this, how do we balance increasing safety with making sure families and community members don't feel like the school transport, bless you, is being used for surveillance or revenue?
Well, that's a great question, trustee. So first and foremost, all enforcement needs to be paired with education and investment in the community in regards to how the law works, how the program works, how not to get a ticket. And so we would want to make sure that we're working with you, with the trustees, with the school district, the community, to make sure that this is a program that people understand and works for the benefit of the community. It has to be a bottom-up process in that regard. The second aspect is, from a data retention perspective, that's something we take very, very seriously. The law is very, very clear that the evidence that's captured from a camera on the bus can only be utilized to enforce an illegal pass of a school bus. And so, and that footage is ultimately upon adjudication, or if a violation is determined to not have occurred, once it goes to the city, it's destroyed. And so ultimately, we want to make sure folks are very, very understanding that that's the process, and secondly, that is abided by and upheld every step of the way. And so through those two things, I think enforcement paired with education, as well as ensuring that we're abiding by every aspect of the law, hopefully means that this is a program that will work on behalf of the community.
Trustee Peterson.
My question probably is for Dr. Strickland. Have other companies been vetted to be able to participate in this competitive bidding process for a company like this? Will we be presented with other companies?
So again, the process was facilitated. It started with the city, and I had previously worked with Bus Patrol in the previous district to get that going, and I could attest to the things that we were doing to make sure people are safe. I'm not sure about those technicalities, though. And I'm just being flat out honest. I have no idea what other companies are out there. I just know Bus Patrol.
Okay, I think, if, do we have any other questions? I want to thank you, Mr. Ryan Monell,
Thank you.
for coming in and answering all of our questions. And I don't think that they're exhausted, to be honest. I think that they're going to think about them and flesh them out a little bit as well. So with that said, we may want to talk about doing maybe some other things, maybe a town hall, but I think that because it sounds like the board is a little unready, I think that I would like to ask the board if you'd like to pull this particular resolution for further and deeper consideration. Would that be, may I have a consent for that? Is anyone that objects to that? Okay, so right now we have items 7.1, 7.2, 7.4, 7.5, and 7.6 that we are comfortable with. So we are going to pull 7.3. Okay, all right, thank you. Let's move on to section 8. Thank you so very much again for Bus Patrol for coming out and sharing with us. We really appreciate the thoroughness in which you responded to our questions. I'd also like to know if legal has any other comments that they'd like to make before we move on to section 8. Thank you so very much. So we are now at section 8, Board of Education. Are there any questions or items that you would like to further discuss on 8.1, 8.2? Trustee Brown,
My question
which
is
item is it?
8.2.
All right, let's just read it so that everyone is aware. 8.2 is authorization of the designation of May 22nd, 2026 as a snow day give back. Before you ask your question, Dr. Strickland, would you like to expound on that? And then he may answer your question before your question. So I'll let him expound and then we'll come to you.
So, trustees, unfortunately, we are in a situation where we have fallen to 178 days of instruction. The commissioner's regulations calls for 180 days. However, because at least 2 of those days were actually declarations of emergency by the state, county, city, we would actually, I feel confident after talking to our district superintendent, the BOCES superintendent. No, I was like, I'm that one. Yeah, after talking to them, that we would, Dr. Coles, we would qualify for the exemption for the 1 day to be at 179. We have to file some paperwork with legal. We have all the declarations that were filed, so I'm confident that we will be able to get that. However, we do need to get to the 179 because, unfortunately, you know, it is what it is. And I feel awful, but I mean, I can't control Mother Nature. And I also don't want to take a risk in not taking the days back, and then the state or the commissioner comes back and says, you did not meet the requirements and we are taking your funding. I cannot do that. I have talked with the union representatives about the give back date. I have different ideas as to how that would look because I know that people have plans, and including myself, but I, you know, am going to do something that is in line with the law to ensure that we meet the requirements of the rules.
So with that said, Trustee Brown, you have a question?
Unfortunately, no. I tried, but thank you for that explanation, and I think it's helpful for them to hear it because they've, you know, some have read and some have just heard it, so it's good to really have you say it. So I thank you for the full explanation. So no, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Do we have any other questions on 8.1 or 8.2? Okay. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to send all items from 4.1 through 8.2, excluding 7.3 to consent agenda. May I have a motion? May I have a second? Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded that we authorize all items 4.1 through 8.2, excluding item 7.3 to consent agenda. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from trustees before we entertain a motion to enter into executive session? Are there any other final, for the good of the order, any other final comments? Okay. Hearing none, District Clerk James, would you please assist us in moving to executive session?
Can I have a motion, please, to enter executive session to receive legal advice on pending matters? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you so very much. We are now in executive session and we will not be reconvening to this space. We thank you very much for participating, for listening and hearing the conversation tonight. Thank you so very much.